Great.
Okay, welcome everybody to our April monthly Murmuration call. Really glad to see so many familiar faces and a couple new folks. I'm Erin Postumus. I'm the Partnerships and Projects Manager here at the National Phenology Network. And we have this monthly Murmuration series is really intended to have a particular topic that we can all discuss. We've had a couple so far this year. In January, we had a murmuration focused on making an annual report. And then in February, we had David Nguyen, who's also on the call today, with us talking about how to engage master naturalists. Today, we're actually going to be diving into information about local phenology programs. So I know a lot of you are local phenology leaders, which is wonderful. We're really fortunate that we've had a student, Nguyen, who's on the call today. She has been working with us since last fall. She's actually a graduate student pursuing a master's degree in management information systems. And she's been working with us over the past year on a number of different projects here at the NPN. But one in particular has been looking at all the information that you all have been giving us in different formats through surveys and request forms and things like that. So really excited to have Chi share about what we've been finding from all of your information, and hopefully it'll give you a sense of kind of what local phenology programs are doing, their motivations and resources that they like to use, and also resources that they need as well. We're also going to have some time for some networking where we're going to put you all into some breakout rooms. So that'll be towards the end of the call, and then we'll have time for questions as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Chi to share a presentation, and then yeah, we can get into the breakout rooms after that.
Okay, thank you. So hi everyone, my name is Chi, and let me share the little presentation slide deck that I have prepared. Let's see if I can. Can you see my screen right now?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, looks
perfect.
good.
Yeah, so welcome to our April murmuration. Um, To start off, I wanted just to provide some of the context of the data that we collected over the past years. So, um, the local phenology programs conducted like independently with minimal input from our US NPN staff, and the LPP request form, which is completed by a local phenology leader at the start of the program. Um, we collected over 800 requested requests since 2015. And out of those 800 programs, there were about there were 568 of the program, so 70% of our requests had at least one record. So those are what we consider active programs throughout the years. And so every year there's an average of 100 to 200 programs, 150 or 200 programs that participate on average every year. And then besides the request form, there are also the annual local phenology program survey, which are completed also by the local phenology leader at the end of each calendar year. So both of these forms or surveys really offers us an opportunity to gain some of the insights into motivations why you start this program or your progress towards meeting your goals that you set at the beginning of the programs, some resources that we offer that you find useful, and if you would request any additional support. So yeah, so over the past year, I've been looking at all of these forms to um, try to gather all of those information. Um, so I wanted to start with some of the characteristics. So demographics of the programs that we that are our local phenology program. So from this graph, you can see a lot of programs. Most of our program are focused on Arizona, California area. with followed by New York. There's Minnesota as well, and then I think we expand it to, yeah, the Midwest, so Minnesota, Ohio. And then we also have a lot of or some programs from abroad as well, so Canada, Spain, um, and just programs scattered all throughout the United States. But most of us are focused on the West Coast and Midwest. Let's see. And then moving on to some of the categories that we collect from the request form. I think before, up until a few years ago, there were more on some of the conservation organization, public garden and nature center until we started to collaborate with a lot of colleges, universities, um, courses within universities like a U of A where we're at right now, and then also a lot of K to 12 schools uh, offering a lot of support education material, and that's why there was a spike start at college and university schools starting to spark up, and so that's the main category of our programs right now. But we also have a lot of government hosted programs like United States Fish and Services units uh, and other federal agencies as well. And so going to the length of activity, so this is where we measure how what the length, yeah, that the programs stay active. Of course, there are a lot we can see. Of course, there are more programs that are active if with less time, probably because over years there are more and more programs getting requested, and so up until now there are a lot of programs that get requested over the past 2 years, for example, and then they that's that's the time that they were active because they did request to start a program 10 years ago. Um, but yeah, there are 200 programs that have been active for 1 year or less. And then we have 2 to 5 years summer programs that have been with us for 10 to 15 years, and they're still active to these days. And then moving on to a number of records as well. This is where we collect. Of course, there are a lot of different categories of programs, and how they operate could be different. So there could be individual programs or just several locals community programs. So we would expect the records that they collect would be less than, for example, a bigger program for a federal agency or a university course where there is a a a consistent source of data coming in every semester, for example, because that's part of their curriculum, their classes. And so, yeah, most of our programs collect anywhere between 1,000 records to 50,000 records throughout their lifetime, their activity length, their lifetime of the program. And same goes with number of observers. There, like I mentioned, there are a lot of more community close-knit programs where there there's only one person who's interested in collecting data, and so they start a program for themselves. So that's why you see there's one observer in their program, but there are also again uh, organizations that start their local phenology program, ranging anywhere from two people within one program to over 500. Um, but we see a spike of 20 about 20 at 21 to 50 or from 10 to 50 people in each program. Um, and we also try to collect what the information on what are the motivations that someone a phenology local phenology leader would start their program. And so these question is kind of a choose all that apply. categories. So we a lot of programs started with a lot of I guess goals and motivations in mind, but most of them are to study climate change impacts, a lot of citizen science, answering to science questions. Students are getting involved as well. So getting students involved in research, getting students outside, part of their curriculum, trying to have field trips, having real world hands-on experience. Um, and so these are some of the categories that we provide that or local phenology leader could choose from. And we kind of see kind of even distributed reasons of why they started their program. Um, and as uh, in terms of what they use with the data, our top reported outcomes in our annual surveys that we collected, or that they collect data and then they would also spending a lot of time and effort on training the observers as well. About 50% of our local phenology programs have looked at their data in some way. So this means that after a year of collecting, they would try to analyze or at least look at the data if that makes sense or what scientific questions that are the data answer that I have set at the beginning of the year, for example. And so, and also 25% of the data of the local phenology programs reported that they have used the data for some scientific or management purposes. So they looked at the data, they analyze it, and then um, I guess half of them use the data um, for scientific management purposes. Um, and mo Going back to the motivations that about why our local phenology leaders started a program that we were able to analyze and also get a few examples of the top three motivations. The first one being education and student engagement. So a lot of schools and universities use or or apps or processes of Nature's Notebook to teach their ecology courses, some of the natural science courses teach like ecological literacy or a scientific observation, raise climate change awareness as well in some of the programs. Um, and then we see a lot of younger students, so K to 12 schools, they use Nature's Notebook, organize field trips, and prepare them, of course, for the college coursework. So there's a common theme in having students engage in just collecting data, learning how to make a scientific observation, or even analyze that data after they collect it. And so one of the example that we were able to gather was from Smith College. And so their goals is to help students learn how to observe the natural environment around them on campus. And from there, they collected and how that changes climate and also affect some of the invasive species, how that affect the environment in general. Um, and that would also establish kind of the data they collected since there's a coursework, there's a consistent kind of source of data that comes in every semester, for example. So that would also over time build a really accessible database that could be used by the students in future courses uh, or the organizations within Smith College. And I believe that this data they collected would also help would also help other communities, scientific communities, either within or outside of a Smith College as well, in yeah, in the community. And so the second motivation would be community engagement outreach. So besides students, there are a lot of local phenology programs that engage communities, surround themselves within the city, the district, county. And so many programs really aim to promote citizen science and environmental stewardship within their circle, the communities. And so there's a lot of local initiatives like phenology trails that would help build communities, connections, and environmental awareness as well. So people gather together maybe weekly, monthly, going on a trail walk to collect data and also discuss what about their observations. Um, and so one of the example is our a phenology project in Ithaca, New York. The reasons, the motivations for establishing this group was to kind of provide a sense of community in in relation to protecting their natural resources. So they're trying to raise awareness about the environment, community, and also try to bring them together as well, um, giving everyone a safe space to discuss or um, just to get together and do something that everyone's interested in. And lastly, besides engagement, there's a lot of motivations or focus on research and data collection. So all of these programs really, some of the programs that you've seen contributed 5 to 15 years. So they build long-term phenology data for researchers around the countries, a lot of studies or conservations effort that rely on these data. There is a lot of initiatives on restoration projects, for example, informing seed collection or habitat management decisions. And there are sustainable monitoring programs as well, were established for to also support long-term education and also some of research data collection goals. And an example that we were able to collect from one of the surveys or is the Taylor Wilderness Research Station, which is based in Idaho. So their research station use collect data and then make create a database, making it accessible, engaging for the public as well. So they make it an open source, for example, make it more accessible to the public and also usable for research for their researcher um, that are working in this station. And so other information that we collected from the surveys or the resources that some of our local phenology programs use. And the one that that we use the most were the visualization tools. About 66, two-thirds of our programs use that visualization tools, followed by our observation portal and then the dashboard where you can customize build visualizations of data, creating a dashboard, customizable dashboard as well. So all these are the top three resources that our programs use. However, we do have a lot of other resources that are accessible through the local phenology through our website portal or even our apps. And so there's a phenophase primer about how a program use that resource, their activities and curriculums. And I'm assuming that some of these resources, for example, hosting an event or community forum or program planning, some of these resources are more applicable to some of the programs than others. So some programs might not be hosting any events, so they of course wouldn't be looking at that resource. But over the years, we have developed a lot of resources that are applicable for that might be helpful for uh, a lot of the programs. So there are how-to videos or tutorials that a lot of people find helpful in terms of how to use some of the tools, for example, or how to collect data, and also program planning materials as well if someone is looking into starting a program in a more structured way, building a community, a program within a community instead of having something in their backyard with yeah, individual or like family friend group observation in their backyard, so that some of the resources might be more helpful to some than others. And then we were also looking at, so if these resources are not helpful to you, what else would you like to see that we might be able to help with? And the first one would be some of the um, training or resource development. So um, we understand that there might be a learning curve for a lot of our users to get started with a program or to how to use some resources, how to use the app, for example. And so we did see a lot of comments on having more having instructions on onboarding materials for educators or volunteers who volunteer their time to observe, to be an observer, or to help with organizing a program. There were a lot of students as well, so that's also one of the requests in terms of having students-friendly data sheets, training on how to help students identify the phenotypes, or some of the things that would help with onboarding or processes would be, for example, monthly calls that would guide people through how to use these resources, or just having virtual training sessions. And so all of these are things that we just wanted you to know that we do look at and consider developing if it's within our resources and ability to help you uh, really decrease the learning curve. And the second one would be technological and system improvement. So again, we understand there is a learning curve within using or app, for example, or that user interface might not be friendly or might not be easy to use for everyone. But so a lot of people are requesting, for example, more streamlined group data entry processes because they work in groups, for example. And so they have some features that we request that would help with these processes. And the last one would be community building and engagement. So they some of the respond were asking um, how to organize the regional meetups, for example, how to start an online discussion forums, mentorship programs. And so those are some of the resources that we see are the most common that were requested throughout the surveys that we collected. Um, yes, and so these are some of the top features or support that we see were requested. So resource on outreach, how to their outreach, how to structure a program, develop one from scratch, for example, or data accessibility, more on volunteer support, how to keep volunteers engaged, or how to get more volunteers to work on the programs, and lastly, on educational integrations. Lastly, we looked at some of the local phenology programs that are inactive over the years. So if you recall, about 77% of programs are active or submit at least one records over the year. And so inactive programs are the ones that have not been submitting any records. And so we look at what are the top reasons why they were inactive. And so a lot of them um, reported that they either lost funding, that they have all the work that they have to prioritize over starting a local phenology program or developing it. A lot of them don't have the resources to, so they don't have the funding, the staffing, the volunteer for this program for this project. A few of them find using Nature Notebook too difficult, and so these are the top reasons that why some of the programs are inactive, and of course, a large chunk of them find other have other reasons that didn't fit in any of these categories of why they were inactive. And so, for the ones that say the other reasons besides the ones that we categorize why they're inactive, are in volunteer and engagement. So they weren't able to find volunteer, no engagement within their programs. Uh, Also, it was difficult for program transition or just how to set up a program that keep delaying the process of starting a program. Um, Again, technological and data entry challenges. Um, there are a lot of observation challenge as well. So it could be observers from observers, or they don't know how they have challenges in the process of actually observing on their program. And so also educational challenges, and some of the programs also reported that it was hard to customize the program into what they need or their goals, for example. And so with that, I um I will next up would be having the networking breakout room. So we will be having rooms of I think we talk about having 3 or 4 people in each rooms, and then halfway through we will be switching rooms so everyone have a chance to interact with different people, and then at the end we bring everyone back for sharing any observations, discussions, and Q&A about this slide deck. Thank you, and I will hand it back to Erin.
Thanks, G. We can also take a couple questions now if anyone has anything that's kind of at the top of your mind while it's still fresh before we go into the breakout. So we've had a couple things in the chat, but if anyone has any additional questions or if there's other stuff that you're wondering about too, we still have a few weeks left of this project with Chi, and so we can do a couple more summaries or analyses. So if there's anything that you're kind of wondering about that we didn't include or you'd like further clarification on, please let us know about that. And I will get the breakout room set up. I think we'll do actually pairs, and then we'll do 10 minutes. And we have some prompts in here for you. We'll put those in the chat too once you get into breakout so you can see those again. And then we'll come back and then we'll put you into new breakout rooms so you'll be able to have the chance to speak to a couple different people. So let me just do this. Okay, we have, oops, I'm not going to include Q&A. Let me go. So it's going to be either 2 or 3 people depending on which room you're in. So I'm going to do that. So we'll have 10 minutes. We'll give you a 1-minute warning, and then we'll reassign and then shuffle you all again. So we'll send you all away and see you in 10 minutes. And we'll make sure that you can see those prompts too once you get in there. All right, welcome back, everybody.
Way too short. I've got
Oh,
too
was
much to
it? I was
say.
gonna ask about that. Like, how was that? Did you
Yeah,
learn something
yeah.
interesting? We'd love to have anything that you'd like to share, voluntary. You don't have to share anything if you don't want to, but you can share something that you talked about or something that your partner talked about. We'd love to
You know,
hear it.
I just to dive in just really quickly, Erin, is it possible to share emails with people who want to share their emails? I just like to stay connected to not only the people I just recently met, but anyone else, and just to offer it as people are more than happy to reach out and say help or what's going on, or
Yeah.
even if we're remote. I think it's exciting to hear what people are doing, and I'm happy to be a marginal resource.
That's wonderful. Yeah, if you would like that, please just put your email in the chat so we know that you kind of like opted into this. And then we can share that email list around and connect you all so you can continue conversations.
Yeah.
We're also in the middle of setting up a new forum option on this platform called Moodle. So we're hoping to have that available in the fall. And that should be another place where you can kind of keep in touch. We do also have a Google group set up right now. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but I'll put the link for that. So that's just another place that you can kind of like put messages out there like, help, I need help with this thing. And you'll usually get a couple responses.
Cool.
Yeah, so any feedback? What did you guys, anyone want to share what they talked about?
Aaron, I'll jump in there. So one of
Yeah.
the things that I always find fascinating since I started doing this and getting involved in phenology and the work that we do, one of the things I always find fascinating, and I just found it equally so in these two exchanges during our breakout sessions, is how people come to this work. And every person I've ever talked to has come to it from a slightly different angle, but the end result and the fullness in their heart and the happiness and the smile that it puts on their face is almost across the board the same. So just found that out with two other individuals. So thanks for the opportunity for us to do that.
Oh, I love to hear that.
And it looks like Jean is not sitting in snow. What is wrong up there?
We were just talking about that. I'm jealous that you can be in the sun and be comfortable because we can't have that here in Tucson.
Well, I learned, I was so amazed I didn't know this, but Nature's Notebook has curricula for school kids, I think both primary and secondary. And I had no idea about that. So I want to learn more about that for sure and look and see what's available and what it looks like and what's involved.
Rita and I had that exchange, and for anyone that's out there, it is an absolute hook for any school volunteer situation. So here in Texas, I'll share this with everybody. Here in Texas, we have a number of volunteer groups, both master gardeners, master naturalists, and civic associations and PTAs that have sponsored native gardens on the campuses of school children, mostly at the elementary level. And this curriculum has already been developed, and it exists in English and in Spanish. So if you're not aware of that, that's a huge door opening into your local schools to help learn about phenology and to teach and share. So please check that resource out. Sorry, Aaron.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, and we actually have that on the list for a potential murmuration later this year, is to like showcase some of the really good lesson plans that we have and hopefully get some teachers on to actually talk about their experience. So yeah, I need to find, I put a thing in the last newsletter, like if you're a teacher, let me know. We'd love to have you kind of like talk about your experience on a call. So we're still trying to find someone, but yes, that is on the list.
Also, I just want to say this was something that Sharon brought up. It seems like that universities are just not familiar with NPN. I mean, do you feel like you know, how widespread do people know about this?
Yeah, it's mixed. You know, we in the past when we had more funding than we do now, we would actually have a booth at the Ecological Society of America conference, and that was a great way to connect with university professors in like ecology and biology. So I feel like we reached a lot of people that way. Yeah, I think people just kind of like stumble on it. You know, I think we're trying to figure out ways to get the word out in a little bit, you know, more broadly. We do have a few people who have used the program have posted on, I want to say it's like Cubes or something. There's a couple of resources for university level faculty to like post their lesson plans and things. And there are some Nature's Notebook options there. So that's helped a little bit. But yeah, we're still kind of figuring out other ways to get the word out. There is I don't know if you know of there's a phenology textbook written by Mark Schwartz. And that was just updated this past year. And so there's a whole section in there about how to use phenology in higher education. So that's another way that it's kind of like gotten the word out a little bit about the program.
Aaron, if I can, to tag on to Beth's comments there, I've been absolutely surprised. So Friday morning, I'm giving a presentation to a program that's being hosted by the Texas Women's University, which is in Denton, When they opened that registry, and it's on Time to Restore and Nature's Notebook, when they opened it up, it immediately captured and maxed out at 140 registrants from the university. So they had no idea that the effort was out there. So to Beth's point, it is exciting opportunities for us to be sharing this information among institutions really that should be aware of this. This is the Department of Ecology at a noted Texas university. Just to tag on, Beth.
Well, I was actually tagging on from Sharon, but I'm just wondering, Erin, too. I mean, if we sort of try to make an inroad with the university, could we sort of ask you to send them, something official, so to speak, or something?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and I'm happy to, if they want to have like a walkthrough of stuff, I can do that too, and share what some other faculty have done in different situations. We have some good examples out there. Yeah, it's on my long list to like write up some like standard ways that people kind of include this in intro level ecology and biology classes. Because there's a lot of different ways to do it. Students adopting a tree for a semester, or having students like do it at their homes, or put someplace nearby where they live. That's another option. So yeah, we have some good examples. We just need to standardize it and write it up.
So I used to be a college professor, and I taught a course called Religious Ethics and the Environment. And I had an activity that I did in that course called the Plant Companionship Activity. And I'm finding that I lead other kinds of programs not associated with Nature's Notebook now, and I do incorporate some of that stuff. And I find that as I'm doing phenology observing and I'm talking to people about doing it, I'm using a lot of this same language of, I have 36 plant friends that I go and visit, and hang out with and pay attention to what's going on with them every week. And there's something about that personal connection of spending time regularly that I found my college students to just be, oh my God, they just loved it. At the end of the course, we would all go around and meet all their plant companions. It was totally
wonderful. I love that.
Yeah, if you've ever read Henry David Thoreau, after coming to this work, it will have a completely different light. Him talking to his friends, the plants. I remember as a sophomore in college thinking he had lost his mind. I totally get it now.
Love that.
Erin, it feels like a grassroots kind of thing where we just, each one teach one kind of, and it spreads. I just bought this property almost exactly a year ago. It's 6 acres in Northwest Indiana in this beautiful, diverse ecological area around Lake Michigan and between Lake Michigan and the Kankakee River. And I can't stop talking about it. I'm like recruiting for Nature's Notebook and the USA-NPN, even though I'm still totally a rookie. But I did use the little the little thing that you guys give, for being able to fill it out. And I made a little invitation to give to people in my Master Gardener class and the Climate and Coffee group that meets and talks about stuff. And I just want to invite people to my property, which is a wildflower conservation property, to just talk about this stuff and get people excited about it. Because I'm kind of on my own out here. There's no LPPs around me. So
are you connected with the Indiana Phenology Network?
No.
Got to get you connected with them. Yeah, Amanda Wanless is an amazing, kind of a regional coordinator. She coordinates people all across the state doing this work in Nature's Notebook. So I will put you in touch with her.
Yeah. Is she out of Indianapolis?
I don't know, actually, probably, but yeah, I can't say for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, the Indiana Phenology Network covers the entire state. I think her goal is to have someone in every county doing this.
Oh, good.
So,
Very good. Yeah,
sure
I could definitely help her with that. That's awesome. And Beth, I put my email in the chat if you saw it. I got yours. It was nice meeting everybody, and this was a really great meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for just sharing and hearing from others. I think we could definitely do more of this if it's of interest. Have that opportunity for you to talk with other leaders. So, yeah, any last things that anyone wants to share before we hop off?
Oh, I want to say thank you for the encouragement to the people I talked to. It was really everybody that I've met or talked to connected with Nature's Notebook has been so helpful and really has their heart in this program, and it shows. So I appreciate that a lot.
We have a lot of great people, a lot of great local phenology leaders, and yeah, I really appreciate you all. So
And thanks to you, Erin, for
yeah,
always going the extra mile to put your heart into it as well. It makes a real difference in what we do and how we approach it and how we stick with it. So thank you for all your efforts.
Yeah, thank you, Erin.
Thank you. I will, I'll send around all the emails to everyone so you're all connected. You can also, right now, before we close, go to the little chat, the little three dots, and save chat if you'd like to save it to your computer. You have to do that before we close the meeting here. So give you a moment to do that if you need to. And that's if you click on chat, and then you should see next to monthly murmuration, April 23rd, 2025, three little dots, and then save chat.
I just want to add to that something very exciting is that Lizzie Volkovich came to the Arboretum in Boston. She's at University of British Columbia with two grad students on Sunday, and they're coring 50 of the trees that we are actually been spotting. So it's very
cool.
So they have our 10 years worth of data, and they're also looking how that corresponds to the core samples that they're doing. So that's really exciting.
That's wonderful. I'd love to know more about that. Yeah, keep me posted.
I definitely will.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining and sharing with your partners. Really appreciate all the great engagement. And we will hopefully see you. We won't have a murmuration next month, but we will have one in June. Stay tuned for the date. It'll probably be the second half of June. And we're going to have our director, Teresa Crimmins, on. And I think she's going to be sharing some about some data, research studies that have used Nature's Notebook data. So that should be a great conversation as well.
Oh, and thank you, Chief, for your presentation. That was really good information.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.